Good morrow, fair maidens. Well, there probably aren't any maidens watching this.
Unfortunately for you, however, you are maidenless.
Welcome to this video. Today we will be talking about medieval torture devices, and as you can see, I'm a squire. Oh, sorry. Forgot I was going to be standing up for that, so maybe I should have put on some pants. Anyway, I saw a couple of videos talking about medieval torture devices and thought it'd be fun to make a video of my own. I know Papa Meat did a really funny one, and me being the nerd that I am, obviously, I love the Renaissance Festival, and in fact went to the Torture Museum at the Renaissance Festival. And I'm just generally interested in this stuff, not in a weird way. Well, maybe in a weird way. Anyway, I'll be ranking 10 torture devices. Number 1 being, maybe I wouldn't mind being tortured like this. And number 10 being my worst nightmare. Alright, so let's get into it. Oh, and warning, I will be pronouncing a lot of things wrong in this entire video. Alright, so to start us off, we have the Brazen Bull. The Brazen Bull, also known as a Bronze Bull, was a torture and execution device designed in ancient Greece. The bull was presented to Pharlus, the tyrant of Sicily, as a new means of execution by Pyrrhius. What are these names? The bull was said to have been hollow and made entirely of bronze, with a door on one side. Allegedly, the condemned were locked inside the device as a fire was set beneath it, heating the metal to the extent that the person would slowly roast to death. The head of the bull was purposely designed with a system of tubes and stops so the prisoner's screams were converted into sounds of bellowing of an infuriated bull. The bull's design was such that the steam from the cooking flesh of the condemned exited the bull's nostrils. This effect, along with the bull's bellows, created the illusion that the bull came to life during every execution. How extra is that? According to the legend, when the bull was reopened after the body was charred, the victim's scorched bones then shone like jewels and were made into bracelets. Stories alleged after finishing the construction of the execution device, Pyrrhius said to Pharlus, "His screams will come to you through the pipes as the most tenderest, most pathetic, most melody of bellowings." Pyrrhius believed that he would receive a reward for his innovation. Instead, Pharlus, who was disgusted by these words, ordered its horn sound to be tested by Pyrrhius himself, tricking him to getting into the bull. You think maybe Pharlus set out a line of Reese's Pieces, and Pyrrhius was like, "Ooh, a Reese's Piece. Ooh, a Reese's Piece." Okay, bad joke.
Ooh, a piece of candy. 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 Ooh, a piece of candy.
When Pyrrhius entered the bull, he was immediately locked in and the fire was set so that Pharlus could hear the sounds of Pyrrhius's screams. Before Pyrrhius could die, Pharlus ordered him to be removed from the bull. After freeing him from the bull, Pharlus is then to have said to had Pyrrhius thrown to his death from a high cliff. You would think, the bull, as being executed by the bull would definitely be a more slay way to go to be being thrown off a high cliff. Who's gonna remember the dude that was thrown off the high cliff? Now, someone that was cooked alive in a bull, they're remembering. But this man was just having a bad day. Why not just let him live after that? You done cooked him. But you think you're having a bad day? Try being Pyrrhius. But Pharlus himself is claimed to have been killed in the Brazen Bull when he was overthrown by Telemeches, the ancestor of Theron. I'm telling you right now, they could say there's a goth girl in there and I'm diving in head first into that bull. They'd get me so easy. All they would need to do, instead of a line of Reese's, they put a line of Miller Lite. I'm in there. They'd get me. They would get me. Alright, so honestly, this one's probably the worst. So starting off strong, this one's definitely going in the number 10 slot for sure. Alright, so the next one we have on the list is the rack. The rack is a torture device consisting of a rectangular, usually wooden-shaped frame, slightly raised from the ground, with a roller at one or both ends. The victim's ankles are fastened to one roller and the wrists are chained to the other. As the interrogation progresses, a handle and ratchet mechanism is attached to the top roller and is used to very gradually retract the chains, slowly increasing the strain on the prisoner's shoulders, hips, knees, and elbows, and causing excruciating pain. By means of pulleys and levers, this roller could be rotated on its own axis, thus straining the ropes until the sufferer's joints were dislocated and eventually separated. It isn't clear exactly what civilization the rack originated. They always say the earliest examples come from Greece. Man, Greece was a bad place back in the day. Man, I wish I could be stretched out. It probably would fix my back. What once was considered torture, we now pay people money to do. Talking about chiropractors. Honestly, chiropractors should be on a modern day torture list. They'd be beating the shit out of folks. Have you ever seen some of those videos? I'm scared they're gonna break someone's neck or spine.
There it is.
But for this one, I'm gonna have to put it in the third place slot. I know that may be a shock, but I have a delusion that it would feel good for a minute. So, putting it at number 3. Alright, next on the list, we have the Pear of Anguish. This one you may know of because it's one of the more shocking ones. In the torture museum I went to, they did have a Pear of Anguish. It was actually hanging from the ceiling. But it really stuck with me. The Pear of Anguish, also known as a choke pear or mouth pear, is a device of disputed use, invented in the early modern period. The mechanism consists of a pear-shaped metal body divided into spoon-like segments that can be separated apart with a spring or by turning a key. Its proposed functionality as a torture device is to be variously inserted into the mouth, rectum, or vagina, and then expanded to gag or mutilate the victim. Man, I hope they cleaned it in between uses. They did not clean it in between uses down in the torture chamber. Imagine having the guy go after the guy that just had the rectum done, and they are like, okay, it's for your mouth. Oh man. Terrible. Some scholars have disputed the historical accounts of the pear being used as suspiciously implausible. While there exist some examples from early modern period, some of them open with a spring. Some speculate that the device could have been used to juice fruit. Well, they were juicing something with this thing. God, imagine you're just chilling in the torture room though, and you're like, what am I gonna get today? Perhaps the rack, and then the hooded man walks out with a freaking Pear of Anguish in his hand. And then the old guy chained to the wall would probably start laughing and be like, "Aw, first day, huh?" Anyway, so for this one, I gotta give it the number 5 place. Honestly, if you're loosey-goosey, you might be okay. I mean, it would hurt really bad, but I think you're surviving. So we're gonna give it the number 5 spot. So up next on the list, we have the Scavenger's Daughter. The Scavenger's Daughter was invented as an instrument of torture in the reign of Henry VIII by Sir Leonard Skivington. Leonard Skinner. The device consisted of a metal rack shaped into an A-frame. The victim's head was strapped to the top point of the A, the hands at the midpoint, and the legs at the lower spread ends. The frame could fold, swinging the head down and forcing the knees up into a sitting position, compressing the body so to force blood from the nose and ears. This one's kind of hard to explain. You're just going to have to look at the pictures. They had multiple different versions of the Scavenger's Daughter. Hold on. This one may be a little... Anyway, they would need to put me on the rack after this one. I would definitely have to be stretched out after being in that little ball all day. But for this one, I think it's going to have a first place spot. It's a little freaky. But no, I think it would be painful more in like an achy way. And you're definitely surviving this one, I think, depending on the amount of time you're strapped in. So that is why it is taking first place. Alright, so the next one we have on the list is the thumb screw. The thumb screw is a torture device instrument which was first used in early modern Europe. It is a simple vice, sometimes with protruding studs on the interior surfaces. Victims' thumbs, fingers, or toes were placed in the vice and slowly crushed. The crushing bars were sometimes lined with sharp metal points to puncture the nails. While the most common design operated upon a single thumb or big toe, variances could accommodate both big toes, all 5 fingers of one hand, or all 10 toes. Okay, so I would not want to experience these or any of these on these lists, obviously. Well, I don't know about the Scavenger's Daughter. But I feel like this one is the baby one. Like, oh, you hurt your little finger. You hurt your little toes. Grow up. I say this knowing I would be screaming in agony after like 2 twists. Maybe even 1. But for this one, the thumb screw is going to be taking the number 2 spot. A nice runner-up. As much as I wouldn't want my fingers or tootsies to be hurt, you can definitely live without them and survive. So that's why it's taking the number 2 slot. Alright, so next on our list we have the Iron Maiden. The Iron Maiden is a torture device consisting of a solid iron cabinet with a hinged front, spike-covered interior, sufficiently tall enough to enclose a human being. While often thought to have been used in the medieval period, the first stories citing the Iron Maiden were composed in the 19th century. The 19th century Iron Maidens may have been constructed as a misrepresentation of the medieval Scandamantle, which was made of wood and metal, but without spikes. So the Iron Maiden will be taking spot 8. It would be a quick death if they slammed the door on you, but I have a feeling they would slowly push the door shut, and not only do I not have time for that, I fear I would be the joke of the torture chamber, because I'd be screaming like a little girl, and definitely don't want that. So, taking place 8. On the list next, we have the wooden horse. The horse is a torture device of which there exist 2 variations, both inflicting pain by using the subject's own weight, keeping legs open, tied with ropes from above while lowering down the subject. The French call this instrument the French word for horse. For a man, this would be awful. I feel like for a lady, it wouldn't be as bad. It would still hurt a lot. You know, whatever the lady gooch is called, it would be in so much pain. Shawty's know what I'm talking about. If you ever cut yourself down there shaving in like the woman gooch spot, it is no bueno. If they added weight to the legs, it would be a lot worse. I don't know how bad this one is compared to the others. I guess it would also depend on how long you're being forced to sit on it. I don't know. I might give this thing a ride. Rock back and forth a little. Anyway, moving on. I would have to rank the wooden horse in the number 9 slot, because the thought of being split like in the Terrifier really makes me twinge. Up next, we have the Strapedo. I know by the sound of the name you would think a particular letter from the LGBT would be very interested, but put those backpacks away, because it is not as fun as it sounds. The Strapedo, also known as corda, or reverse hanging, is a form of torture in which the victim's hands are tied behind their back, and the victim is suspended by a rope attached to the wrist, typically resulting in dislocated shoulders. Weights may be added to the body to intensify the effect and increase the pain. This kind of torture would generally not last more than an hour without rest, as it could otherwise likely result in death. The proper application of the Strapedo technique causes permanent but not visible damage. The levels of pain and resistance vary by the victim depending on the victim's weight. Sorry, fatties. And any additional weights added to the body. Oh, skinny people, you're not safe either. Body positivity. A form of this could also include being hung on the wall by chains. You know, we've all seen the iconic pictures of skeletons hung on the wall. So the Strapedo, I'm going to place it in the number 4 slot, because I think I could survive it, and it just feels like a good spot to place it based on vibes. Alright, so next, we have the Head Crusher. Just women, am I right? Anyway, I would name it the Homer Simpson based on the picture. The metal device featured a plate that sat below the victim's jaw, which was connected by a frame to the head cap. As the torturer slowly twisted the handle, the gap between the head cap and plate decreased, crushing the skull, including the teeth, mandible, and facial bones, and ultimately inducing death. Even if the torturer stopped before death, permanent damage to the facial muscles and structure would have occurred. The victim's head would slowly be crushed, killing the victim, but not before the victim's jaw had been crushed and their eyes may have possibly extruded from their sockets. To aggravate the pain, the torturer master would sometimes amuse himself by tapping on the metal cap with a small hammer. They're just silly gooses down in the torture chamber. Some of the variations had a bucket in front of the cap to catch the eyes of the victim. Alright, so the Head Crusher has to take 7th place, because you would probably die and or look horribly disfigured. And I have to keep this face card intact, obviously. Alright, so the last one we have on our list is the Breast Ripper. The Breast Ripper, known in another form as the Iron Spider, cool name, or simply the Spider, was supposedly a torture instrument used on women. usually who are accused of an array of negative attributes decided by male inquisitors. You would think they'd want to keep the Yetis. Sounds a little gay to me.
Ha! Gay!
Anyway, the instrument was allegedly designed to rip the breast from a woman and was made from iron, which was usually heated. It was used in the Middle Ages, but similar concepts were used in ancient Rome. Yeah, I got a set of breast rippers right here. Honka honka. They need to be put down. Anyway, so finally, in 6th place, we have the breast ripper. Not only would it be incredibly painful, I definitely want to keep my mommy milkers where they're at. So, breast ripper will be taken 6th place. Alright, so the final list sits at number 1, the scavenger's daughter. Number 2, the thumbscrew. Number 3, the rack. Number 4, the strepito. Number 5, the pear of anguish. Number 6, the breast ripper. Number 7, the head crusher. Number 8, the Iron Maiden. Number 9, the wooden horse. And finally, number 10, the brazen bull. I think that is a good ranking. Let me know if you agree. Anyway, that was the video. I hope you liked it. And if you didn't, well, understandable. Come back next time for another weird video. Bye, fair maidens.
For that arrogance, I shall see you dead.
Yeah. All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. See this? This is my boomstick!